Heckel starts his gatherings into the zone. Score! Heckel wins it, and the Sun Devils make it 18!
Welcome into this week's edition of Hell Frozen Over alongside Nick Merrick. I'm Kerry Crowley. We're here at Oceanside Arena where the Sun Devils practice is just wrapping up, and last weekend the Sun Devils took on the Oklahoma teams, Oklahoma University and Central Oklahoma. And earlier on this season, Nick, the Sun Devils had no problem taking care of those two teams on their Oklahoma road trip. They won the 3 games by a combined score of 16-2, but that was not the case, as ever since then, it's been a struggle for the Sun Devils to stay healthy, and we saw that in the first 2 games of this weekend's series.
Well, health has always been an issue for the Sun Devils team, kind of ever since that Penn State series when they started losing. Now they started coming in bunches. That was the first weekend that Fez Khan was officially out of the lineup after that, and then it seemed like the Sun Devils started dropping like flies, and unfortunately it got a little bit worse this weekend as Zielinski was still out of the lineup. And they also lost Jordan Young to injury against the Oklahomas. Not sure his timetable on his return, but I have to assume it has to be more than just this weekend. So I'd expect him hopefully to come back by Nationals, but I don't think they want to rush him back anytime soon, as the Sun Devils have been playing a lot better when they are healthy. Evidence of that this past weekend, if you look at it when the players started coming back on Saturday night against Central Oklahoma, that was about their best performance. That's when the chemistry started to click. But without the core group, even if you're missing the finer player, there's no such thing as one stand-up player in the Sun Devil team. It's a full team effort. That's why they've been number 1 in the rankings for 8 straight weeks. It's been, it hasn't been always on the back of Colin Heckel. It hasn't always been Zielinski. It's been the different surprise have been stepping up. This past weekend, it was Darcy Charwa. He came out with a couple of points. McGinty looked strong as always, as did obviously the veteran leaders. But it's kind of finding that guy in the bottom of the depth chart who rises to the occasion, and that's when the Sun Devils really look to their true form and show their true colors.
And it felt like the Sun Devils were finally able to string things together in the first 2 games of the series. On Thursday night, they were basically tied with Oklahoma, who might be playing the best hockey in the ACHA right now, up until the 3rd period when they let in 3 goals late. Central Oklahoma, they were winning in the 3rd period on Friday night, and then Saturday night, they finally did get a victory, and it's because of the chemistry that they found when they got guys like Fez Khan and Dan Sterna back in the lineup together.
Absolutely. I mean, those are 2 crucial players that if you're looking just from a talent standpoint, of course, Khan and Sterna bring a lot to the table, but it's not just that. It's the fact that now 2 more bodies, you have that many more line options out there, and obviously you highlighted the 2 guys. Those 2, along with Colin Heckel, were phenomenal this past week, and they actually exploded for 10 out of the 13 team points on the Saturday night victory against Central Oklahoma, which was their only win of the weekend, unfortunately for Sun Devil fans. However, it's good to see them come back because now, due to that, they're able to shift up the lineups more. They're able to play matchups with Kyle Bowen, who's more of a gritty player, plays well on both ends of the rink. Match him up with McCall, who's a very offensive-minded player. He could do it by himself if he needs to. So that's where Coach Powers has the luxury of utilizing the depth, as he's been able to come in and say, the depth is one of the strengths this team has, and he's very pleased to coach him. He wouldn't trade him for the world or for any other ACHA team, as he said in his press conference announcement, so to speak, that he released midweek. So it's just a team that's slowly coming back. Jordan Young hurts, but with the buys coming back, also Chisholm returning to the ice, this team's going to be back and should be dangerous to watch come the next month.
When you mentioned Colin Heckel, Fez Khan, and Dan Sterna combined for 10 points on Saturday night, it was just the 5th time they've played together as a line this season. 25 points already as a line, so they're averaging 5 points per game. That is really phenomenal.
How about Colin Heckel's line this past weekend, too?
Yeah, Colin Heckel had 6 points on the weekend, not to mention a shorthanded goal that really turned the momentum and sealed that Central Oklahoma victory on Saturday night. But another thing we saw this weekend out of the Sun Devils was a mix-up of goalkeepers. We saw Joe Delia go on Thursday night against Oklahoma. He struggled a bit. Corey Frank go on Friday night, and then Kyle Dietrich go on Saturday night. So we saw every different goalkeeper you could possibly see out of this Sun Devil team. Greg Powers threw them all out there. Of course, with the national tournament coming up, they've got to check their depth. What did you see from the Sun Devils, and what surprised you out of their goalkeepers?
If we go with the surprise factor of the weekend, it's great to see all 3 goaltenders go, but I was really surprised in the play of Kyle Dietrich. He obviously did it against Oklahoma earlier on the road trip when he only allowed 1 against them in one of the 2 6-1 victories. But now coming back, playing at home against a lesser Central Oklahoma team, he got the job done. This was a struggling Sun Devil team at the time. Yes, the bodies came back, but they still didn't have that swagger, that charisma on the ice that they were seeking. And a couple of fantastic highlight reel saves for Dietrich. Really actually had the best performance of all goaltenders, in my opinion, of that weekend. And that's something just to get a break from Joe Dealey maybe down the line, too. Getting him that rest before Nationals.
And what surprised me a little bit about this weekend was that Joe Delia did struggle in that third period against Oklahoma because he's been so dominant all season. His 2.6 goals allowed average is really good for the ACHA. The Sun Devil defense has been protecting the net well in front of him. So to see Joe Delia struggle is really a testament to how well Oklahoma is playing at the moment, but to how he needed a break. And that's good that they were able to get Corey Frank and Kyle Dietrich in the net.
Well, to throw it out there really quick, in national time, I think they have to win, what, 4 games in 5 days?
4 games in 5 days.
So that's where the goaltender depth is going to come into play.
Yep, definitely going to be an issue for the Sun Devils. But Delia, in the previous weekend, did play 3 games in a row, 3 overtime wins, including 2 shootouts, where he was absolutely stellar. So good to see him get a little bit of a breather this weekend. When we come back, we're going to have Sun Devil defenseman Sean Ritchie with us. Stay tuned. You're watching Hell Frozen Over.
Tacos?
Nah. Burgers?
Yesterday.
Right.
I'm thinking
Mongolian.
Looking for a fresh, healthy alternative? Take a trip to Genghis Grill. Spice up your favorite meats and seafood, then load up on veggies. Choose a sauce and let our Genghis Grill masters cook your selection to perfection. Genghis Grill, masters of Mongolian stir fry.
Hey, go vegetarian.
Chicken. Me too.
Welcome back to Hell Frozen Over. We're now joined by one of the tallest Sun Devil players, Sean Ritchie, or at least it feels that way to me down here.
Stepping stone.
Yeah. So we're going to try to conduct this interview, but I'll be speaking up to Sean right now. So obviously a big weekend for you guys coming up against Rhode Island. You want to get on track heading into Nationals. You got Rhode Island, then Arizona, and then that trip to Minot. So what are you guys looking forward to build some momentum?
Well, we just definitely want to get some confidence going into the big Arizona weekend, our final homestand. So just looking to get back on track. We started that way last weekend, and we're just kind of working towards that, getting our speed up again and getting healthy.
Now, this last weekend, Coach did a lot of things on defense, kind of shifted up the lines. Obviously, with Young out the game, he's had to kind of start from scratch. So how's it been like being able to be comfortable? Are you getting more comfortable playing with different line mates?
Yeah, well, I've kind of taken this opportunity on myself to get some more minutes and show what I can do out there. So, and playing with Darce, it's been easy. He's a hardworking guy and really makes it easy on myself to make the simple plays. And yeah, it's been good.
Well, you and Darcy did play actually probably one of the best out of the defensive units this past week. And on top of that, when we talked to Coach Powers, you were saying, Sean's a guy who's he's definitely our 5th best defensive, but he's right around that 3 and 4 spot even as his play's been getting up. So how do you feel that Coach Powers is definitely recognizing that on the ice?
Well, definitely it's good to get a little confidence behind the bench, and I'm just personally feeling more confident on the ice as well. So definitely feeling good about my game right now, and hopefully I can take it into end of this year and my next 2 years here. So.
Yeah, on a lighter note, how have you enjoyed your freshman season in Arizona State?
It's been good. It's a little different from back home in Edmonton, Canada. So, yeah, it's been really good here, and school's been good, and hockey's been great, so no complaints.
A little different playing this weekend in January 25th, 26th region. It's going to be 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, well, I know Celsius a little better, but right now, yeah, it would be around minus 20 Celsius back home, feeling like minus 30 with the wind chill. So definitely better off down here where I can get my golf shorts and everything going.
You actually you got a chance to play. This is a really lighter note. Do you have back earlier in late September playing the ASU golf classic? What was that like with the boys? Was that a good like initiation for you to kind of welcome yourself into the team and really get that bonding down?
Yeah, it's always fun. It's being in Arizona, one of the first things you think about is golf. So it's just a great kickoff, especially in the freshman year, and meet the guys, and get on the course. Nothing beats it, really.
All right, we'll take things back to hockey. Obviously, I don't know why. Hockey players always tend to be fantastic golfers. It must be the swing. I guess I haven't figured that out yet. But looking ahead to this weekend, now Rhode Island's going to come in. They're going to be physical. You guys are getting your swagger back, as Coach Powers said. So a lot of the pressure is going to come now on both sides of the rink, finding those connections. How prepared do you guys feel for Rhode Island?
Well, if we get the Dolinsky McAuliffe and Norris line back, and we had the Sterna, Heckel, and Con line back last past weekend. With those are arguably the top 2 lines in the league, so you can't really get more confident than that. So.
Well, thanks for joining us, Sean. Stay tuned as we'll have Coach Greg Powers up next on Hell Frozen Over.
Thank you.
They made the rebound. Score! Captain makes it 2-0 with 3 seconds left in the cage. Score! Just like that, makes it 3-2. Block 3 and score! At the blast, the rebound and first thing. Score!
Welcome back to Hell Frozen Over. We're joined now by Sun Devil coach Greg Powers. And coach, it was a tough weekend the first 2 nights, but you guys finally pulled through and got that victory on Saturday night. How did that feel for this team?
It felt good. You know, the guys snapped out of the trance and kind of acted like themselves, most importantly off the ice and in the room, and it translated over on the ice. And it's like I said, if it's not right in the room and outside of these walls, it can never be right out there. And it was that night, and it has been all week. So we're anticipating carrying on from that point and pushing forward.
Well, it seems like all eyes have been on this Sun Devil team ever since you guys took over the top team in the rankings about 8 weeks ago. But then health's been a big issue. So how has it kind of been knowing that you've had so many ACHA teams saying like this isn't the good Sun Devil team anymore, maybe now they're going to be easier to beat, and now the fact that you guys made a big statement this past weekend getting healthy back?
Yeah, well, you know, it's nice to get guys back. We should have a near full lineup Friday. We're still missing a couple key guys, but everybody is at this point in the season, so it's not really an excuse. It hit us a lot harder than it hit probably anybody, and harder than it's ever since I've been here, but you know, it's adversity, and the only thing you can do is stare adversity down and deal with it. And we think we're past the toughest stretch, and we're happy about getting guys back this weekend.
And the big storyline from the weekend was obviously the play of that Heckel, Con, Sterna line. And that line has played so well this season, but they've only played together about 5 times. What can you say about them getting back together and their chemistry?
You know, they just haven't. They haven't played together since the second Penn State game, not even a practice. And they went out and I think in their second shift had a tic-tac-toe, just beautiful goal. And then from there on forward in the entire game, they just dominated every shift. So they obviously feel very good playing with each other. They move the puck well. They think alike. You know, there's constant movement off the puck. They play the right way. So we're excited they're back together. I know they're very excited they're back together, and it's a good thing for our team.
Well, the big sports cliche is kind of you can't teach that natural chemistry on the ice. But now the fact that that line is back intact, it gives you more options to shift up the lines below them. So how does that make it that much easier for you, knowing that now you can play a little bit more with the lines and try to find the chemistry rather than saying, you know, I got to try to put all the scores and kind of spread them out. Now you can have a little more fun.
It's you know, that's been our struggle the last 3.5 weeks is we've been so banged up. I've tried everything and we haven't had a go-to line. Now we know we have a go-to line, and we think up front this weekend we may be fully healthy. So if that's the case, then we're going to have 3 incredible lines, and again a 4th line built the way it's supposed to be, and we'll be rolling. So we think that we're going to be okay. We're still waiting on a couple guys, but it looks positive.
Another thing we saw last weekend was the play of 3 different goalkeepers. What would you say about each guy's performance?
I thought they were all okay. None of them played the way that I think that they all wanted to or expect to, but certainly, Joe against Oklahoma didn't cost us that game. Corey against Central Oklahoma did not cost us that game. And Kyle in the game that we won, I think he even felt like he probably could have played better. But I don't think they played poorly. They just probably didn't play up to their ability. But again, that's hot hockey. It's a team game, and but they're all 3 very good goalies, and they'll be fine.
But it has to be a good learning experience for those 3 guys, knowing that Nationals coming up. You've been praising a lot in your post-game interviews as well. It's going to be a 4 games in 5-day kind of deal over in Chicago. So maybe this is what those 3 need to kind of get their game to the next level.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully.
Well, thanks for joining us, Coach. Good luck this weekend against the Rams. And that does it for this segment of Hell Frozen Over.
I think when you come watch our team practice, what you're going to see is we go extremely fast.
Practices, our tempo, everything is up 100%.
In spring ball, we were going game speed, and he still thinks it's slow.
You have to be mentally tough. Every snap, you better give it 100%.
I just like the fight, the grind, every single play.
Do not put two hands on offensive linemen.
What I saw when I showed up here, I saw a bunch of young kids that was hungry to win. The sky's the limit for Sun Devil football.
Welcome back. I'm Kevin Hanlon with your D2 update, and I'm joined by Captain Cameron Morgan. He's the captain of the D2 team, and is currently leading point scorer and major offensive threat for the ASU Sun Devils. This weekend, they take on NAU up in Flagstaff, which is sure to be a great excitement for all the fans up there and parents and everyone who comes on out, so be sure to come on out. But before we go into that, I want to take a look at what the Sun Devils should be thinking about going into these games up in Flagstaff. So what do you think is going on in the Sun Devils' heads as they're going up for those games?
I think that we all realize that it's a pretty big series for us with Natty's coming up right around the corner. I think NAU's ranked number 4 right now. We're at number 2. So these two games are pretty crucial to the auto bid to Natty. So I think all the guys are pretty much fired up and ready to go. And it's going to be a pretty exciting series up there this weekend.
Now, the Sun Devils, a couple times it's ended in shootouts. And a couple losses sprinkled with wins. It's been very back and forth. Can the Ice Jacks be taken lightly at all?
No, they're never a team to be taken lightly, especially being a rivalry game. They always come out, 110% every time we play them. So I think the past 3 times we played them, it's been shootout losses for us. So I think we're a little more hungrier and determined to bury them in regulation this time around.
Okay. And now they pack their barn up there. It's no joke. Everyone comes out, teachers, students, fans, parents. It's packed. Does that help or hurt the Sun Devils when they're playing up there?
I think absolutely it helps. I think playing in front of a big crowd like that, no matter if it's the home team or away team, it's a pretty exciting thing to be the enemy going in there. And I think word's been traveling around that they're trying to get their fans there early and take over our spots in the bleachers. So I think if we get our fans to support us out there as well, because we always have a great following, I think that it's going to be pretty exciting. So
nice. And now a couple more questions. Now, leading into nationals, away from after this weekend, how do you think the Sun Devils compare to, say, the Eastern competition? What do you think the fans can expect from their boys out there when they go to St. Louis?
I think that you can always pretty much bank on us giving our full effort. I mean, we don't really know too much about how the other regions are doing. We don't get to see them play very often. But judging by how we did last year at Natty's and coming on the scene, and everyone kind of knows that our D2 team is a pretty serious contender for Natty's, I think other teams are going to be more prepared for us this time around. I think we're going to have to be that much more ready to go when we get there.
What do you think, compared to last year's coaching staff, that this year's coaching staff with Kevin and Dennis LeClaire, what do you think they've changed and brought into the mix that's going to make the Sun Devils higher competitors, tougher competitors out there in St. Louis?
I think they bring a little bit more of a mean streak. They know how well we did last year, only losing 1 game, and they came in and they're really preaching certain things, and in practice we're going over things that we wouldn't necessarily go over in the past, going back to the basics and making sure that once we get to nationals we're going to be there for the long run and not just a couple games. So
absolutely. Hey Cam, thanks a lot.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
That's it for the D2 update.
When you've lost that love and feeling, donate it to Good Wheels. Your unwanted vehicle will help fund job skills training and human services programs for disadvantaged Arizonans. You'll even receive a tax deduction. So call 602-416-6278 for more information. Or visit us online at www.goodwillaz.org. Good stuff, good work, Goodwill.
Now we're going to talk about the upcoming Rhode Island series that the Sun Devils are going to play this weekend. Friday night at 8 o'clock right here at Oceanside, and then Saturday night at 7. Right now, Rhode Island, the Rams are ranked number 15 in the country. They've played a couple of tough teams so far. Nick, who do you expect to step up for the Rams?
Well, it should be an interesting series, but it's going to be David McAlino who leads that team in points. He has 33, 21 goals. 6 of those are game winners. But if you really look at the roster, if you look at a stats perspective, Rhode Island comes in with about 2 very strong lines. Then it kind of dives off from there. So that's where the Sun Devils are going to need to utilize. They're going to have to get the mismatches on the 3rd and 4th line, get those extra shifts to keep the legs up top healthy. So like we mentioned, that Sterna, Heckel, and Kahn line, if they want to be utilized to the best of their abilities, that's where the lines with Dan Anderson playing on it, as he's been playing fantastic. Dave Jancy's been playing. He's been the workhorse kind of in the second half. If those guys start stepping up and show their veteran leadership on the ice, that's when you're going to see the Sun Devils start to get back in their rhythm. So Rhode Island does come in with some decent depth, but they haven't been very battle-tested. So I think that's what's going to be a concern for the Sun Devils, and they should note that coming into this weekend, or they should be able to get the job done against a lesser opponent in Rhode Island and then carry that momentum into the U of A series the following weekend.
Yeah, for the Sun Devils this season, it's been all about their strength of schedule. It feels like every single weekend they're playing a top 15 team in the ACHA, and of course Rhode Island happens to sneak into the top 15, but that's because they've won a couple of quality games this year. They've taken 3 out of 4 from Delaware. They beat Navy earlier on this year, who's been one of the biggest surprises in the ACHA, and they had 2 one-goal losses against Stony Brook, which came in and gave the Sun Devils basically everything that they could handle a few weekends ago. So this Rhode Island team is definitely going to be tough.
Well, they're certainly tested. It's just going to be a matter of what Sun Devils are going to step up. Is it going to be the veterans? Is it going to be the newcomers? It's kind of been the slogan of the year. It seems like for us and also for Coach Powers. He knows anybody can step up at any given time. However, I think the focus of this weekend is going to be definitely on the defensive unit, not a particular player, but just the whole group. As Jordan Young obviously out, he played top line defense. Now shuffling it up, they actually split up in the last game. Coach Powers decided to go with the veterans in the different lines, so all the seniors were playing different. Parson, Clark, and Charwell, that is, they were matched up with either Richie, Hughes, or Blomgren, and then also Dan Kenzie got a couple shifts in there as well. So it's a matter of can they stay strong, can they stay mentally tough, can they help out Joe Dealey if he goes, or can they help out either Kyle or Corey and net? And that's going to be the ultimate side. The Sun Devils are more than capable of scoring 4 to 5 goals a night, but can they keep their opponents to under 2? That's going to be the question. When they hold them under 3, they win almost every single one of their games.
Well, you'll have to tune in this weekend to see if the Sun Devils can hold the Rhode Island Rams at bay this weekend. Our broadcast will be on Friday night at 8, Saturday night at 7. The Walter Cronkite Sports Network will have the best coverage of Arizona State hockey. That does it for Health Frozen Over. For Nick Merrick and Carrie Crowley, this has been a production of the Walter Cronkite Sports Network.